Hi everyone, welcome to On the Other Hand. I'm Ariane Zurcher, and in this video I share my latest mixed media sculpture. It's an abstract sphere using a whole variety of different materials, including that metal mesh that I showed in a recent YouTube short that was sort of a challenge. People often ask, but what is it for? Or what are you going to do with it? But what if art doesn't have to be useful? This spherical sculpture is part of a larger shift in my art practice, away from vessels, which always carry the implication that they should hold something. I'm letting go of function and am embracing art as an exploration, not a utility. So I'll turn you around and you can see what I'm up to. I put a little piece of wire, a little arc here, stitched it down. This is just a piece of linen that I had. My thinking is that I'm going to put it on my globe here. It's going to go here. Then, I'm not sure about this area, but I did a little YouTube short and I made a challenge to just grab something unusual, something you've never worked with. And mine was this metal mesh. So I had this and I was going to put it here. But then I thought, well, why use this if I'm going to just have it fly flat? I mean, the whole thing about the metal mesh is that it's all bendable and it does these really interesting shapes. So then I thought, well, I'll cut a big piece and I'll stitch it down in here and then I'll like scrunch it and do stuff, you know, to make it different. But I haven't really figured out what I'm doing here, whether I'm just going to stitch directly into this or if I'm going to put something, other things on here and then bend it. So I don't know. I might play around with a scrap before I commit to this. I kind of like the idea, but I think it kind of works. So that's that. But for now, until I've finished this, I'm not going to worry about any of that. And now I'm just doing a little bit of turkey work in this area here. And that'll be it. And then I'm finished and I will stitch this on, and then I'll figure out what I'm doing, if I'm going to use that metal mesh or not. But that's kind of where things are right now. I don't know if any of you saw my turkey work simplified video. But it really, turkey work, I think for some people can be super daunting because you're supposed to go in a row and then you're supposed to, I don't know, do all this stuff. And what I found is that I don't need to do any of that. I just need to make a loop and then anchor that loop by doing just a stitch. It doesn't have to be, you know, sort of in the general vicinity. And I do a stitch. And that way that loop is secure. And now I do another loop. And then I anchor it with a stitch somewhere in the general area. And that's kind of it. It does not need to be any more complicated than that. I don't have to go in rows. I don't have to make them, I don't have to do any of that. I've been doing turkey work like this for a long time. I've never had a problem. As long as I make a loop and then make that stitch that's going to anchor it somewhere in the general vicinity of that loop, I'm good to go. And I'll show you what this looks like when I'm finished with it. So there it is. There's my turkey work. And now I'm going to figure out what I'm doing here with this, my little world that I've created here. The thinking is to put this here, but I need to figure out what I'm doing with my mesh, because if I'm going to put the mesh down like so, then that's going to change where I put this. So I have to figure that out. All right, this is what I'm doing. I place this onto the part that I want to cover. And now I've taken this piece and I'm adhering it, doing some turkey work in through the metal mesh and the material, and that's working out just fine. And then I'm going to cut this part off because it's excess, or tuck it under, I don't know, something, so it's not showing. And then and I want to figure out what I'm doing down here. And once I've done that, I will attach the whole thing to that portion that I want it to cover. So there's my turkey work. I'm just going to clip these guys. And I think I'll adhere this part. I took the wire that I'd put under here, I took that out because there was no need for it now. All right, so here's what I've got. I've got my metal mesh. I've flattened it out. I'm not going to wrinkle it until I've tacked down all the different things. So I've got this tacked down. I'm now going to tack down this, which is my water-soluble, whatever that's called, you know, thing that I sandwich between, and then you run it under water and it disappears. And so I'm tacking this down with some black thread around the black parts. And I don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to figure that out now before I tack any more down. I'll just tack down this part here. And then I'm going to fit other stuff in here. This is what I'm doing. I am putting down this. I'm going to tuck it under here and sort of push this around, manipulate it a little bit. And then I'm going to put this piece down here, like that. And then I'm going to put this like this. And I'm going to tack the whole thing down, and then I'm going to scrunch it. I've stitched some of this down, this part and this part, and I'm now going to start stitching this linen part down, and then the wool, and then my little circle here. I'm going to do just some seed stitches in here to tack it down, and in here. Because of the metal, I can't go as quickly, so it's sort of a stab and pull kind of thing. But that's okay. It's really easy to stitch through this. Someone called it a screen, a metal screen, which I hadn't even thought of that. I guess it is used for, I think a screen is denser than this, but anyway. It's pretty easy to work with. I wanted to turn this on just to show you how I'm stitching. I'm doing this running stitch along here. I'll do 2 rows of it. And the rest of this is all tacked down. But it's not that difficult. I mean, it's not as easy as if I didn't have anything. But for metal, this is pretty good. I mean, because it's so easily manipulated that I can get a couple of running stitches on the needle before pulling it through. Now I'm not getting those running stitches as close together as I would normally, but that's okay. They're just a little bigger. And I'm not able to get as many on the needle before I have to pull it through. And if I was just working without the metal behind it, I could get 6 or 7 stitches on here at least, if not more. I also need my pliers because it hurts my hands. This is, by the way, Painter's, it's Nikki, number 5. Cotton, pearl cotton. I'll go ahead and turn this around to get my next row in. So this is going to go like so. And I think what I'm going to do is sew this edge down first and get this sewn down. And then I'm going to start crumpling it as I go. That's the plan. And the metal mesh is right there, this part, from here going down. I'm really pleased with it. So I just want to end this video by saying that, as you saw, this piece isn't meant to hold anything. It's not something that's useful. If it holds anything, maybe it's just holding a reminder that we don't have to be useful to be worthy. And especially as women, that is a radical thing to claim. As women, our worth is often measured by how useful we are. This piece then is a really small act of rebellion against that idea. It doesn't need to hold anything, and neither do we. I'd love to know in the comments, have you ever felt the need to create something useful, but wished that you didn't have those constraints in your art or even just in your life? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. And please know that you're worthy just as you are. Thanks so much for watching.